Jim Jordan has a massive bombshell, according to his own Twitter. The government itself got a note that they're colluding to stop America's free speech. Welcome to Doug in Exile. I'm Doug TenNapel. This is where all the happy people are. Come on, let's dive into the hardcore information. Here's Jim Jordan's Twitter. Bombshell report on the censorship industrial complex. Hundreds of secret reports show how the government, the GEC, and Stanford University and others worked together to censor Americans before the 2020 election, including true information, jokes, and opinions. This is just to show how far this is going and what an overstep this is. The federal government, disinformation, quote unquote, experts at universities, big tech, and others worked together through the Election Integrity Partnership. You'll see that referenced a lot. The EIP, to monitor and censor America's speech. Here's how it worked. The EIP stakeholders, included the federal government, would submit misinformation reports. The EIP analyzed the report and find similar content across all platforms. Then the EIP would submit the report to big tech, often with a recommendation on how to censor. So they're telling them what to do. They told a private entity what to do, and the private entity, of course, is going to respond. They don't want to get in trouble with the government. That's what this is all about. So here's the official document. This document is called The Weaponization of Disinformation, Pseudo-Experts and Bureaucrats, How the Federal Government Partnered with Universities to Censor America's Political Speech. So we're going to get into this document. This was just released this month. The First Amendment to the Constitution rightly limits the government's role in monitoring and censoring America's speech. But these disinformation researchers, often funded, at least in part by taxpayer dollars, were not strictly bound by these constitutional guardrails. What the federal government could not do directly, it effectively outsourced to the newly emerging censorship industrial complex. Enter the Election Integrity Partnership, EIP, a consortium of disinformation academics led by Stanford University's Stanford Internet Observatory, the SIO, that work directly with the Department of Homeland Security and the Global Engagement Center, a multi-agency entity housed within the State Department to monitor and censor America's online speech in advance of the 2020 presidential election. Created in the summer of 2020 at the request of the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, that's CISA, C-I-S-A, the EIP provided a way for the federal government to launder its censorship activities in hopes of bypassing both the First Amendment and public scrutiny. They did this in private. Jim Jordan is releasing all these documents in public. I've seen them. The EIP's misinformation analysts next scoured the internet for additional examples of censorship. If the submitted report flagged a Facebook post, for example, the EIP analysis searched for similar contents on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Reddit, and other major social media platforms. Once all of the offending links were compiled, the EIP sent the most significant ones directly to big tech with specific recommendations on how the social media platforms could censor the post, such as reducing the post discoverability, suspending an account's ability to continue tweeting for 12 hours, monitoring if the tagged influencer accounts retweet a particular user, and of course, removing thousands of American posts. This is disgusting that your government has come this far. So here's a visual showing you the federal government there on the left, that's CISA and the GEC. They would work through over at Stanford University, the CIP, and then they would reach out to Google, YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. But you can see they put that artificial middle ground in between the government and the private industry to get away with it. This is very similar to how Biden washed his money through banks through claiming their loans to get paid from China. Government agencies and disinformation experts are quick to cite the need to combat foreign actors attempting to undermine American elections as justification for censorship. All this is saying is they claim they were going after foreign actors like Russia, and really almost all of the censorship ended up being against American citizens. So it was a lie. And then here's some of the accounts that were actually affected, shadow banned or censored. President Donald Trump, Senator Tom Tillis, Newt Gingrich, Mike Huckabee, Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Newsmax, the Babylon Bee, a humor site, and they went after them and censored them. Sean Hannity, Molly Hemingway, Harmeet Dillon, Charlie Kirk, Candace Owens, Jack Posobiec, Tom Fitton, James O'Keefe of the Veritas Project, Benny Johnson, Michelle Malkin, just all my buddies are up here. And then here's Margie Taylor Greene, great work. I always knew I was targeted. Looking forward to talking with my Republican colleagues to find out what we can do about this, who should be held accountable, and how to never allow it to happen again to any American. So good news is going to come from this. Right now, you just have to shed some light on it to open it up. Pass this link around to your friends and tell them the government has been spying on the American people and has been censoring their free speech through these platforms. Got to get this stuff out in the open, guys, because we have to start over on honest footing for free speech and transparency ASAP. I'm Doug in Exile.